Hello, everyone, and welcome to another installment of the incorrectly introductions TEDXcellence. I used the wrong video clip to introduce the show, but regardless, it's the same old thing. And I come to you live from my Corona bunker on the moon with Dog Cat Fox, a Pepperjack, and all of you. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Been a couple of days since I've done one of these. Welcome to Thursday. Tempestuous Thursday, I suppose. Or maybe Temecula Thursday, since that's where our talk today comes from. Oh, yes. Boy, oh boy, I can't wait for this one. I have a feeling it's going to be an education. Before we get there, say hello to those of you who decided to join me today. Wade Wilson, hello. Jaeger Pony, hello. Mr. Tickletrunk, hello. John Miller, hello. Raziel, hello. Keeverdam, hello. Zalbla, hello. Check Your Logic, hello. That One Servant of Satania, hello. Texas Attorney General, Secret Agent, hello. Some Namnyon Nation, hello. Dina B, hello. Luke Skywalker 2, hello. Who else? Black Belt for Christ, hello. And then chat jumped, because of course it did. Thank you, this is Kyle. Hello, chat people and scribbles. Hello, Kyle. Deco, hello. Roger Reynolds, hello. Mike Savage, Blarg. Jake Tungseth, hello. Red V7, hello. Advocatus Diaboli, hello. Anybody else that I missed there? Peeps Cray, hello. Brad Young, hello. Faithless, hello. Bluntly Blondie, hello. Aspie Auntie, hello. Jonathan Peterson, hello. Hello, hello. Ethan Robbins, hello. All right. Well, then, let's move along. Okay, first and foremost, we have a new feature today. For those of you who follow me on Twitter, you may have seen this. If you'll check in the description, there are 3 options for the bingo card. And prior to the show, I put a poll up on Twitter to have people decide which of the 3 versions of the bingo card we would be using today to try to mix things up a bit. And the final selection was card C. C as in cat. So if you need to get your bingo card ready, click on the link below for card C. That is the one we'll be using today for this episode. And what is the title of today's presentation? Why, that would be Racism from the Perspective of a Non-Threatening Black Man. Racism from the Perspective of a Non-Threatening Black Man. I find it interesting, maybe it'll be ironic, I don't know, that in the very title of the presentation, granted that this is the title our speaker chose, because sometimes TEDx, makes up their own titles. I don't know, making assumptions about what people think about black people and or perpetuating stereotypes thereof. Well, maybe that's the joke. Maybe we'll learn something. I don't know. Keeverdam says, Scribelight, you missed debate flies. Hello. Hello, debate fly. Keeverdam. Debate fly has been properly helloed. But with that, as usual, I will start off with a few seconds for sound test. You guys tell me if you can hear this, and then we will begin. Kind of a longer TEDXcellence today. It's going to be 16 minutes on this clock, so let's get moving now.
I was 9 years old.
He was 9 years old. You guys get all that? 9 years old. It was a wonderful year. No, see, that's it. When I was 17, it was a very good year. Let's see. Sounds totally Temecula's. That's good. I like that. Faithless says, Scribelight, what if you used a list of what's on the card, then chose the card after arguing all the points, remove any rationalization? Okay, I was told there'd be no math, so it's just card C. That's it. Just pick card C.
The first time I was called the N-word by a white person, and it happened during a kickball game of all places.
Oh, okay. All right. That was grim opening. 9 years old. Okay.
And once I learned the word's meaning, I didn't come to the immediate conclusion that people would hate me due to something outside of my control.
You weren't 9 until you heard and or knew what that word meant? Really? Okay.
I figured it was my fault, that I needed to do a better job in order to be accepted by white people.
Well, I guess that was your first mistake or something? Or you took one person's actions as I don't know, a declaration from an entire demographic. I mean, you were 9, so I'll extend you that benefit.
And with that in mind, growing up, I was the preppy kid. I was so well-spoken and articulate. I got good grades and I checked every box of being a non-threatening black kid. And yes, there's a checklist for that.
So you were a well-behaved and responsible child. Okay. And quotation marks. Okay.
But didn't matter. Good amount of people still hated me.
A good amount of people still hated you. What's a good amount? What's that mean?
Or judged me
Oh,
due to my skin color. And it was demoralizing.
yeah, there are some assholes out there. It's true. It's true. Uh-huh.
However, in high school, I had to talk about it with one of my white friends. And he said, the way people feel about you has everything to do with your personality and not your skin color. To me, you're just doing. And then he hit me with this. I don't think racism is real.
Your white childhood friend. Okay, well, I mean, maybe your friend was just naive or something. Or maybe he was just idealistic. I don't know. But okay. Yes. Newsflash, everyone. There are assholes and racist assholes out there in the world, if you did not know. But just in case.
So as I maneuvered and grew up in my predominantly white Western Massachusetts town, I kept hearing what my friends said. I kept thinking to myself, racism's not real. Racism's not real. Racism's not real.
Well, you know, if you stop considering it as a concept that needs to be entertained all the time, it may eventually fade away. That'd be nice. Keeverdam says, does the checklist count as a list? Oh, well, I guess literally speaking, yes. So good call, Keeverdam. Circling free space and a list on the card. Also a note on the bingo card per recommendation from the last stream. I think it was Keeverdam. If I'm mistaken, please tell me. I replaced takes credit for or blame for something experienced within their own demographic. I switched that out with collectivizes own demographic to try to bridge the ambiguity there a little bit. So there's that. All right, so free space and a list. Childhood or family anecdote is got to be, where did I put that one on here? Because there it is. Childhood family anecdote. Circling that one. Thank you, Mr. Tickle Trunk, for the Dogcat Fox. Oh, Dogcat Fox. Happy Dogcat Fox. You're happy, aren't you, Dogcat Fox? Wowie, wow, wow. Yeah, Dogcat Fox is happy. Let's see. But we're going through a lot of things real quick. Marginalized, marginalization, no. Collectivizes own demographic, not yet. Leaves out vital context, not yet. Feminism, no. Microaggressions, unconscious bias, might get there. Anecdote that probably never happened. He hasn't said anything that I think is beyond the beyond yet. Contradicts own point or argument, no. Diversity and inclusion, no. Attempt to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase, no. Plays victim, we'll probably get there. Word salad, not yet. Mind reading assumes motives, I'm sure we'll get there. Benevolent condescension, maybe. Patriarchy, no. Wage gap, no. Systemic institutional, not yet. Privilege, not yet. Self-vilification or wretchedness, no, not yet. Equity, no. Weightless example, no. Make something about race, sex, etc. for no reason, we might get there. And white supremacy, no. All right, moving on.
So when a white owner of a video game store made me empty my pockets because I fit a profile, I figured it was my fault for looking like a criminal.
For fitting a profile? Like he told you that? Empty out your pockets, you fit a profile? No.
When a white girl I really liked said she really liked me, but said her parents would never allow her to date someone like me.
Uh-huh.
I figured it was my fault for not being nice enough or smart enough in their eyes. In other words, I had Inge living inside of me at all times. And what is that? It stands for I'm not good enough.
Okay. That other people are racists or were racist towards you or about you or fear thereof. Yeah, not fair, not good. That sucks. But you also decided that you had to conform to their wishes, or what you thought their wishes would be to please them. Why do that? Why not just be yourself? I mean, I get it. Growing up, it's difficult to find, who you are and trying to fit in and be accepted and so on. So I can only imagine it's probably exponentially more difficult for someone who is also facing discrimination over something they have no control over. But okay. So this is a self-esteem issue more than anything else. Or you're looking at it as one, I guess.
And yes, we've all dealt with it before, right?
Some emulation says buzzword. I've heard that before, though. I don't think that's him making that up. If that's completely brand new, then I'll circle it. But I'm pretty sure I've heard that in some talk before somewhere. So I don't know if he didn't say something I like to call, but we'll see. We'll see.
But the difference is that when everyone around you tells you that you're not good enough, you may start to believe it.
Not everyone around you was telling you that, though. You had a white friend, you had a girl that actually liked you but was fearful of her parents. There are plenty of people who liked you for who you were, despite your skin color. It's not everyone. So, yeah.
I know it was the case for me and for many people of color throughout America.
Okay. I mean, he did collectivize his own demographic there, but he's not wrong. I mean, the square doesn't say right or wrong. Oh, man, now what do I do? I'll think about it.
So as I stand here now, I'm finally awake. I know, yes, that every success or failure is ultimately up to me, sure.
Uh-huh.
But I also know that racism is the most persistent and pervasive problem in American history.
Racism is the most persistent and pervasive problem. Racism is. Not wealth inequality, not crime, not disease. Racism is. Yeah, okay, I'm going to circle collectivize his own demographic. Circle on that one. Moving on.
I lost touch with that high school friend, but if I could see him now,
yeah,
I would tell him how racism has impacted my life negatively due to the expectations and fear that come from it.
Okay. I mean, I'm circling plays victim. I know he has been literally the subject of racism. But to say that it is the biggest problem in the country and then say that most of his worries and concerns and constraints and everything were self-chosen. Okay.
And it starts with expectations.
Whose expectations? That's what I want to know. Whose expectations are you attempting to conform to?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
When I was a new dad,
Oh.
I went to Starbucks with my daughter.
Yeah.
And just to get some much needed caffeine, right? Every new dad can appreciate that.
Uh-huh.
So a white woman, an older white woman, came up to me and she's like, hey, like, wow, your kid's so cute and all that. I was like, yeah, she is. And then she's like, it's not often that I see black men out with their kids, but it's such a wonderful thing to see. No matter what happens, and she hit me with this, I hope you stay involved in that little girl's life.
Uh-oh. And you know what? I can believe that happened. I can believe that happened. Now, is our speaker going to act shocked that notion might be in someone's mind who doesn't quite have the right social filter, but all the same? And then? And
man, I wish I had a clap back for her. Like, I just froze and I was like, oh, yeah, sure, thanks. And then she left with a smile so big as if she was a superhero named Captain Caucasian, who just saved the world from a black man becoming a deadbeat dad.
Didn't you grow up in a mostly white Massachusetts town? Maybe you're not aware of the recorded and often cited, let's say, epidemic of absentee fathers in the Black community. Maybe. I mean, not that that lady had the best tact in the world, certainly, but go on.
Yo. The microaggressions.
Oh, microaggressions. Boy, oh boy. All right, that's a nice firm one there up on the board, microaggressions. If he talks about white supremacy, and I have a feeling we might get there, we're going to have a bingo here pretty quick. But okay, tell us about your offense. I mean, I can see how it might be awkward and annoying, but can you acknowledge that she was speaking a kind of truth?
Or like death from 1,000 paper cuts, and it's all because society doesn't think we're good enough. And I've heard them all. It's like, hey, Dwayne, you went to that college? Wow, that's a really good school. So you obviously played a sport, right?
Uh-huh.
You don't even act Black, Dwayne.
Uh-huh. Everybody's saying, Scribe like you missed mind reading, bro. Yeah, he's assuming motives and so on. It's true. Circling that one. Oh, boy. So far we have circled, collectivize his own demographic, microaggressions, unconscious bias, plays victim, mind reading, assumes motives, free space, a list, and childhood or family anecdote. Let's see.
I wish they could all be like you, Dwayne. Yes. I've heard them all.
Uh-huh.
But it's not just the microaggressions.
Oh.
It's the expectations of Black men as criminals that's also unnerving. And I have to chuckle at this too, because a dozen white dudes could pass by a white mom with her kid on the sidewalk, but then as soon as I walk by, she clutches that kid tighter than a vice grip.
She clutches that kid tighter than a vice grip? Okay, if you say so.
And I think that's hilarious because...
No. You don't think it's hilarious, but all right.
Didn't Captain Caucasian earlier imply that Black men don't like taking care of their kids, but all of a sudden we're going to be snatching up white babies on these streets?
What? What? Oh, okay.
Like, wait, what? That makes no sense.
I agree with you. What the hell are you talking about? In one instance, she's talking about absentee fatherhood, and in the other instance, you're talking about presumption of criminality. What? But
nothing makes sense if you're a Black man in America.
Really?
Nothing.
Really?
The expectation of Black men as criminals is why I had to empty my pockets in that video game store as a teenager.
No. Okay, and extending the benefit of the doubt, the reason you had to empty out your pockets, again, stipulating to your own story, was that that store owner decided to be suspicious of you. Even if he decided to be suspicious of you, he does not represent society's expectations of you.
It's how George Floyd gets choked out for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. And some people say that he had it coming to him.
Some people say. Okay.
It's how Jacob Blake could be shot in the back 7 times.
Yeah, for assaulting a police officer, resisting arrest, and going for a weapon. Golly, can you imagine? 7 times.
In front of his 3 young children.
Yeah, his 3 young children who he purportedly wasn't supposed to be having custody of in the first place. 7 times.
And some people say it's justified.
Some people say, yeah, if you pay attention to all the events that went down that morning, yeah, a little bit.
It's how some people say that all Black people, yes, all black people are lawless thugs.
All black people. Some emulation says leaves out vital context. I'll give you that, especially in the Jacob Blake story. Leaves out vital context, circling that one. Okay. Yeah. All. If I didn't already have circled collectivizes, I would so now. Okay.
Because a very small percentage, a minuscule percentage of black people choose to loot and vandalize businesses due to generations of begging, pleading, and asking nicely to be treated with respect and dignity.
Whoa. So pillaging and looting is now okay, technically, morally, because they were asking for things for so... What? Well, man, if that wasn't a backhanded apologia. Holy cats, man. So, some people have said some things to you. Some people have demonstrated themselves to be either racists and or assholes and or just without any tact whatsoever. You interpret the actions of other people, either in word or deed, as being an offense to you as a microaggression, which is an offense that you're taking on all by your lonesome. And now looting is permissible, okay, because of past they wanted things that they didn't get, so now it's okay to steal? What? Boy, this has taken some twists and turns more so than an M. Night Shyamalan movie, and we're not even halfway through it yet. Jeez.
Only to be ignored.
Uh-huh.
Now, to be clear, would I choose to loot and vandalize businesses or to be heard? No.
Well, why not? Why not? You haven't been heard. You just apologize for anybody who does. Well, what's wrong with that? Are you going to tell us now that it's wrong? Oh, it's incorrect? You just gave permission for looting. Now you're walking it back? Well, that was quick.
I choose to loot and vandalize businesses or to be heard? No, I wouldn't.
Why?
And here's the kicker, y'all.
Yeah?
Neither would the overwhelming majority of black people.
But who cares if... Okay, if you steal and you loot and you vandalize, it's because you've been not heard or not listened to for so long. But that doesn't really matter because most people don't do it in the first place. I certainly wouldn't do it. But here's the thing. If you did do it, you'd be justified in doing so. Okay, word salad. Well, let's see. Word salad contradicts own point. Oh, gosh. Which one? Your boy Pat says contradictions. You know what? I'll take Pat's cue on that one. Okay, contradicts own point or argument. We'll save word salad maybe for later. Holy cats, man.
Here's another thing.
Okay.
Do I understand why some of us
Yeah.
would choose to go to those lengths?
Okay. I want to understand. I want to understand why some of us being what? Black people, I guess. Some of us would go to those lengths you want us to understand and or you want to make apologetics for. Okay, I can't wait. First, thank you, Mr. Tickle Trunk. We don't even hold children to that standard. Which standard? Sorry, my own context has drifted at this point. Okay, what's the next thing that's okay?
To be heard?
Yeah.
Abso-freaking-lutely I do.
All right, hold on. I gotta back up and make sure I get the full context here. I apologize.
I choose to loot and vandalize businesses or to be heard? No, I wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the kicker, y'all.
Yeah.
Neither would the overwhelming majority of black people.
Uh-huh.
Here's another thing.
Okay.
Do I understand why some of us would choose to go to those lengths to be heard? Abso-freaking-lutely I do. That's what it's like being black in America. We're...
Okay, so you understand, you are not mad, you do not wish to, censure or penalize or vilify anyone who would steal or loot or vandalize in your demographic because you understand the wholeness of your demographic because of your personal experiences, which gives license to that kind of behavior, even though you yourself wouldn't participate in it because you're not one of the some, I guess. Thank you, Bacall the Driving Ape Man, for the nope. And let's see. Did I get a... to Mr. Tickle, describe like what he just did was justifying children to act up when they're upset over something. We teach them to be bigger person and not resort to violence. Yes. Okay. I understand now. Sorry about that. My mind is going all over the place here. It's just like, what? Thank you, John Miller. Wait, I'm confused. Is he saying all black people are a monolith or not? I'm not sure. Like some will, most won't. And yet he understands both sides of the equation coming from his mostly white Massachusetts neighborhood, growing up, trying to maintain himself to the expectations of white people. I don't know.
We're judged as a whole.
Yeah.
Due to the criminal actions.
Okay, sorry, I got to back up again.
Understand why some of us would choose to go to those lengths to be heard? Abso-freaking-lutely, I do.
Yeah.
That's what it's like being black in America. We are judged as a whole due to the criminal actions.
You just judged the wholeness of your own demographic. You just did. You said you understand what it's like. Some will, most won't, yet it's all... what, understandable? It's all reasonable to you? You understand what it's like. Even though your background differs from probably a whole lot of people, but you understand. Okay.
Of a few.
Yeah,
But sometimes the expectations aren't always low.
Oh.
There's a concept called the plus that explains this nicely.
Uh-oh.
Think about it like this.
Okay.
We all, no matter what your race is, we all have similar concerns right now. Public health concerns.
Sure.
Environmental and climate change control concerns.
Not as much as some, I suppose, but a general overall concern for the environment, especially the whole land management thing and the wildfires. Sure, I guess.
Political concerns.
Yes, I don't know of a thinking human being that doesn't have political concerns of one stripe or another. Okay.
But then
yeah,
there's the things that are independent, the people of color. That impact us in so many negative ways.
Okay. So there are specific things in life that only affect you. I'm not going to talk about your demographic. I'm listening to you. So there are things in this world right now that only affect you because of your skin color. Okay, I am all ears. I'm ready to be educated.
It's all those things that I mentioned.
Yeah.
Plus dealing with the fact that trauma porn is being put on social media of black bodies being brutalized and murdered.
What? Trauma porn? What? Okay. Yeah, some emulation. I'm word salad. I'm getting there, but I'll give him a second. What do you mean trauma porn? Because, you know, if you want to counteract what I think you're going to talk about here, and I could be wrong, there's a YouTube channel called Real World Police. If you want to see people of all skin colors get confronted by police, oftentimes in shootouts and or lethal situations, there's plenty of reverse trauma porn available to you if that's going to make you happy.
Plus, ensuring that we don't come off as too angry or too emotional when we're dealing with racial microaggressions at work, knowing that it could impact our careers. And speaking of our careers, plus, if we have the audacity to be leaders out here, good ain't good enough, y'all.
I'm getting an intersectionality vibe with all this. Maybe that's just me.
Greatness is the baseline. Imperfection is the goal.
So society expects you to be great because you're black? Or Or you expect yourself to be great because of society's low expectations of you? I guess.
And if we screw up just a little bit, it's the burden of knowing that not only will impact us, it can impact the people, the young people who may follow in our footsteps afterwards.
Right, because anything that you do is going to make anybody who sees you do that thing think lesser of Black people as a collective. Not you as an individual, because you know that everyone sees you as simply a representative of your demographic. Okay.
It's also the plus of trying to explain why we belong in white spaces. For example,
in white spaces. Okay, what's a white space? What is a white space? He's going to give us an example, so I'm ready to hear it.
A lot of things that I do in life, y'all, is the sole reason of making white people feel comfortable.
Why? 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 Okay. You will not find me saying, like an idiot, racism doesn't exist. You will not find me saying that this person has never in his entire life experienced racism directed at him. You'll never find me saying that. All the same, thus far, many of our speakers' examples are a pain self-chosen. You have chosen to take actions to make white people feel comfortable because you know that they're all racist and would be uncomfortable if you behaved otherwise, I guess. Okay, tell me more.
Think about this. Here I am,
yes.
Big black man.
Oh, okay, yes. And that says what about you?
Sometimes I'm singing Disney Frozen songs when I'm walking down a sidewalk.
I can believe it.
Or I'm in a dark parking garage with what?
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to hit the button that time. That was a reflex. Let's start over.
Big black man.
Yes.
Sometimes I'm singing Disney Frozen songs
yes.
when I'm walking down a sidewalk.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm in a dark parking garage with white people just so they know that I'm not a threat. I'm like singing, let it go, let it go.
You sing let it go around white people to let them know you're not a threat. Like what? Like you're Jane Goodall approaching the gorillas in the mist or something to let them know that she's not there to hurt them or something. What the fuck are you talking about? What must it be like for this man to walk through the world as paranoid as he sounds like he is, that at any moment someone might have a nasty thought about him because of what he looks like? I mean, don't get me wrong. I am sure that there are places in this world and that there are circumstances under which that is something that somebody worries about. I get it. I do get it. Self-consciousness, I've known it. I haven't known it in the same way as being the subject of racism. But this is a grown man. And this is what he does to dissuade white people being scared of him. Okay.
And it's like, that's crazy.
Yeah, you're right. That is crazy.
But then it protects me because then those white people are like, okay, I don't have to put out the pepper spray.
Oh my good golly. So white people are just all pepper spray packing racists dying to pull the trigger on any black person who's not singing Disney show tunes at them. That one certain Stania says, anecdote that probably never happened. No. The anecdote he just relayed is his imagination. And I believe that he believes in his imagination here.
Oh, I don't have to call the cops. He must have kids. It's soul destroying. And it goes on and on and on.
Then don't do it. You're choosing to do this to yourself. I mean, okay. Aside from your experience when you were 9 years old, aside from leaving the store and the owner having you turn out your pockets, aside from the girl who said that her parents would not approve of you if she were to date you. Okay, those so far are your three primary direct examples of bad things happening to you in this regard. And for the sake of argument, I will believe all three. They all sound unfortunately reasonable, especially probably in the era in which you were growing up and 20, 30 years ago, whatever. Okay, I believe it. Those are your top three examples of bad things that have befallen you that could be considered, probably rightly, as racist intent. Okay. And now, have you been pepper sprayed? Have you been attacked or assaulted or arrested or something by some random white person in a parking garage when you weren't singing show tunes? I'm not going to look at our speaker as representative of anyone other than himself. And I haven't heard anything that, to my mind, would justify him being this paranoid.
And trust me when I say this, the plus is slowly killing the Black people that you know and love in America.
Okay, attempt to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase, the plus, if not the word itself and the concept behind it, which is basically just intersectionality after a fashion, but I'm going to circle it for the sake of this talk. So there you go.
It's just too much.
Okay, so what? All right. What is your proposal? What is your solution?
The game of life is a difficult one to play if
You don't say.
you're Black. And it's almost an impossible game to win.
There is no winning. First and foremost, there is no winning. The only winning you can do is to live the best life you can and make the most of what you've got and the time that you have. That's it. You're not going to win any more than the next guy is going to win. We're all headed for the same destination. It just matters about the quality of the life you lead before you get there. If you have that option, that's all.
And then there's fear.
Yeah.
Because everything we do in life is governed by one or two emotions. There's love and there's fear.
No. I maybe you left out anger or jealousy or sadness. What?
And yo, big ups to those of you who wake up in the morning, you have your decaf vanilla latte, you're scribbling in your gratitude journal, you're staring at your vision board.
Are you stereotyping right now? I thought I could have sworn that there was some kind of antipathy earlier, just maybe a minute or two ago, about making assumptions about people on the basis of their skin color. I don't know.
Before you start your day. Yeah.
Let's see. Some emulation says condescension. Yeah, that's kind of benevolent condescension. Yeah. Besides which, all the other examples he's had so far. Okay, we are really close to one or two bingos here. So we either need something that qualifies as word salad. I know that there have been moments now where you could say word salad. I'm waiting a bit. And white supremacy. I mean, if not in specific, in aggregate, we'll probably get there by the end of this, but all right.
That's cute. Yeah. I don't do that. I mean, granted, I have the same 24 hours in a day that you do, but a good portion of that day is spent making sure that I come home to my family in one piece. Why? Because I am a 6'2", 215-pound Black man. I am a high threat the moment I leave my house, and I need to be cognizant of everything that I do.
You're paranoid. You are paranoid. You are hurting yourself. You're making a choice to hurt yourself. Thank you, the Redneck Ram. Hiya, Scribble Man. Watching from the beginning, just got off work. Have a feeling this is going to be another forehead slapper, isn't it? You know, this is turning into like so many other TEDx's where I watch someone's internal struggles play out as a one-man or one-woman show on a stage. I'm watching their mind work live. And part of me is bewildered. Part of me is sympathetic. And part of me also is troubled by the fact that more likely than not, the person on the stage is expressing the same mindset to others and perpetuating problems that don't need to be perpetuated. But anyway.
For example, I'm like, hey, you know, I want to go shopping in that nice area of town. But before I do, I need to put on my non-threatening black man costume to ensure that I get harassed less than usual.
So you're, again, making assumptions about the rest of society. Is this all because some store owner back when you were a kid made you turn out your pockets? I mean, you didn't say that you were arrested. You didn't say that you were assaulted. You haven't said so far that you've been, you know, unjustifiably persecuted or prosecuted by the law or something. Okay.
And if you're wondering what that costume is,
yeah,
I'm wearing it.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So it's a costume. So you're playing pretend? So that's not the truth of you? What do you...
There's also the time when I'm thinking like, hey, that white woman over there, she's smoking a cigarette at a public playground. And I'm pretty sure that's against the law. But instead of calling her out, I'm just going to grab my kids and go because I can't risk her calling the cops on me.
You know that you're perpetuating racism. You fear people for the color of their skin. You are training your children to fear people over the color of their skin. You're not even providing the benefit of the doubt to other human beings, the benefit of the doubt that you wish you were extended in those times past that you complain that you weren't. I think I read an article with this exact same kind of mindset the other day.
A few years ago, in my predominantly white neighborhood.
Your predominantly white neighborhood. Okay, that's relevant. Why? Unless he makes it relevant here in the next second or two, I'm going to circle make something about race, sex, etc. for no reason.
There's a black dude who was sexually assaulting white women. And as soon as I saw the composite sketch of this guy and I realized that he looked a little too similar to me, I did not leave my house for 4 days until he was apprehended because I knew my life could be in danger if I did.
Could be in... Yes, because the people in your white neighborhood, the people in your white neighborhood who knew you as their neighbor are suddenly going to form a mob to hunt you down if they see you on the street. Okay.
But the fear doesn't just reside in me.
Oh.
My kids feel it as well.
Oh, gee, I can't imagine why.
Remember my daughter who was in the stroller earlier? Here she is now. She's 9 now. She came to me the other day.
Yes.
Sobbing in tears and said, I don't want you to get shot, Daddy.
What could have compelled her to say that, I wonder?
Because I'm an anti-racism facilitator for a living.
Oh! Oh, you're an anti-racist. Oh, you're part of the Dr. Ibram X. Kendi cult. Okay. That's why you'd get shot? Boy, how many anti-racist advisors have gotten shot recently? Thank you, Mr. Tickle Trunk. He's been convinced by activism to not value himself as an individual. He's not a black body or even threatening. Seeing this always breaks my heart. Yeah. Check your logic. Anecdote that probably never happened. No. I believe that his daughter said that. I believe that this guy's paranoia and his rhetoric at home, if it's anything akin to what he's been putting out on stage, has bled over into his children's lives and fears. I believe that. I really do.
So I did what any good dad would do in that situation.
Oh.
I lied to her.
Don't worry, honey. I won't get shot. I knew that was a lie. I'm still waiting for that day. Something like that.
I told her that everything would be okay, even though all evidence points towards the opposite.
So you are going to get shot at some point because of your vocation. And you just now on this stage told your daughter that you lied to her and that you are in danger. So you've done what in alleviating her fear? Thank you, John Miller. Oh, he is a racist. Figures. If he is an anti-racist, well, I wonder if he will confess to his own racism, because as anti-racism tells us, racism is a constant. There is no such thing as being not racist. You're either racist or anti-racist. Anti-racism is confession. Racism is denial. I wonder which one he falls into.
Now, think about that for a minute.
Oh, I'm thinking about it.
Wrap your head around this. A child is crying and fearing for her dad's life.
Yeah.
Because I want to teach Americans how to treat people of color with compassion, respect, and dignity.
And yet you look upon every white person as a threat to your bodily safety. And yet you are teaching your children to look upon every white person as a threat to their bodily safety, let alone their fathers. Really? That's what you're working towards? By standing up there and saying, this is my non-threatening black man costume? Because obviously by extension then, everyone who is not you assumes you to be a threat if you are wearing anything else, because obviously everybody else is racist. Is that really the mindset that's going to help bridge the gap that you're seeing, you're wanting to alleviate here? Yeah. The best way to, bring two sides together is to immediately assume the worst possible notions on the other side and treat them accordingly. Okay.
How messed up is that?
I cannot tell you. Let me count the ways. Thank you. This is Kyle. This racist is starting to piss me off, just like YouTube, because I've had to change the spelling of racist 5 times to get this through. Jeez. Okay. And just as a note, I don't have any keywords blocked on my channel or anything for comments or anything. So if you're having any trouble sending messages, it's YouTube. It's not me.
I would want my white friend to know that fear is a default setting for me.
That is a pain self-chosen.
I wake up in fear.
Yeah.
I go to sleep in fear.
Yeah.
I walk my adorable puppy throughout my neighborhood in fear.
Maybe you should get some therapy.
I drive my car in fear. And I talk to white people in fear, and I hate it.
No, you don't. No, I don't. Okay. You do not hate it. You are loving this. This makes you special. This makes you an advocate. This makes you outspoken. This makes you a victim every single minute of your day. You are not hating this. I can believe that you walk through the world in fear all the time. I have a hard time believing that you hate it.
But it's my survival mechanism.
Uh-huh.
I often wonder how much more I could do, how much more I could be, and how much more I could offer America if I wasn't scared due to being a big black man in this country.
I don't know.
I also wonder, will I ever have the opportunity to find out?
I don't know.
Man, I hope so, y'all, because I'm tired. I am so damn tired.
Yeah, I bet it takes a lot out of you. Hating the entire world and fearing for yourself against them all the time. I can imagine.
Someone once asked me, if America was a body, like the human body, would racism be an organ or disease?
Part of me wants to circle anecdote that probably never happened, but given the quote-unquote intellectuals that our speaker may traffic with, I can imagine someone has asked him that question.
So in other words, would racism be something that's inherent in us, innate in us, that we just have to live with? Or is it something that's slowly killing us that we have to eradicate at all costs?
Well, let's see. According to Dr. Kendi, racism would be an organ. It's unavoidable. It is inherent to all of us. And the only question is whether or not we are confessing it or in denial of it within ourselves. So, well, let's see. Maybe there are more than one school of anti-racism. If he says it's a disease that could conceivably be killed off, maybe he's not of the Dr. Kendi school of anti-racism. Let's see.
By now, you probably know the answer. And if my white friend was in front of me, I'd just say here, hey, man, so you just heard me speak. What do you think about racism now?
I think you've bought into it yourself and you believe it in all others and that you're paranoid and you're hurting yourself and probably your family in the process.
And if he's like, hey, man, you're just another whiner waving around the race card, trying to get sympathy from the white man.
You just said you do everything to meet the white person's expectations and alleviate their fear. So, in a way, yes.
Okay, cool. Would you be surprised to know that I almost took my own life 3 years ago?
I am not surprised at all. If everything you're saying is true, and I will extend the benefit of the doubt, that you live in fear every day that you're going to be harmed or talked sideways to or thought of badly and on and on and on by anybody who has a skin color lighter than your own, I can believe you're in such a mindset as to have threatened your own life. Yes. Yes, I can. I do not say that with any glee or happiness. But given your description of yourself and your personal experience, yes, I can believe it.
Due to racism.
Racism did not push you towards killing yourself. You did. You did. Okay.
The fear and expectations that come from it.
The fear and expectations that you have placed upon yourself
were almost too much to bear because I'm an empath. I'm someone who feels every emotion deeply.
No, I can believe that too.
And being hated due to something outside of my control was almost something that cost me my life.
Everybody doesn't hate you, dude. Seriously. Everybody does not hate you. I cannot imagine what it must be like to move through the world believing that everyone hates you over something you have no control over. I really can't. And if this were 1950s Alabama or something, it would make a lot more sense. It would make a lot more sense, but it's not. It's not. You are projecting the worst possible interpretation of human interaction on anybody you see with a particular skin tone. And then taking what you imagine they are thinking and or doing and or meaning behind their words and turning it back on yourself and making yourself feel like absolute garbage. You are doing that to yourself. Because, let's turn it around a little bit. Earlier, you talked about how it is a relatively small number of people in your demographic who steal and loot, etc. The majority do not. You're right. It is also true that it is a small number of people in the white demographic who are actually racist. The majority are not. I don't know if you're capable of believing that, given your fears, but I hope at some point you at least give people the benefit of the doubt that they're not out to get you. Thank you, Mr. Tickle Trunk. Crushing. I want to talk to this guy so badly. Yeah, for every incident in his life that is justifiably categorized as someone was being racist to him, I bet you dollars to donuts the majority have had nothing to do with nothing and have been imagined evils.
And I promise you that there are countless people of color who feel the same way now that I felt 3 years ago.
I don't doubt it, especially if you have helped perpetuate a sense of paranoia about white people or an inherent hatred of self over your skin color. I can believe it. Stop it. Please.
And this is not a game, y'all. This is not a game.
I didn't think
This is
it was.
seriously life and death. And we're not asking for much. We're just asking for equality.
What does that mean to you? Specifically, what does that mean to you? What would have to happen? And I am honestly curious. What would have to happen in your mind to make you not hate everyone for hating you?
So when we ask for equality, it should simply be met with, yeah.
What equality? What specifically? I need specifics. What do you mean? What are you not afforded right now because of your skin color? What?
Yeah, it's a good idea. Let's do that. But instead, we hear countless reasons why it will never happen, and that is soul destroying.
What do you mean by equality? Did the reaction to George Floyd not happen? Did the initial reaction to Jacob Blake not happen? Let one step back. Did the reaction to George Floyd's death not provide at least some anecdotal evidence that the entire world is not careless about the life of a black person? Is there no solace you can take from the reaction to George Floyd's death at all?
Or, on a positive note, or he may be like, yeah, you know what, man? I think racism is a problem. Well, duh, but I'm not here to shame you, dog.
Oh, you're not here to shame me? Oh, okay, because all this time I was looking at myself and going, golly, my skin color makes me a threat to this man.
Welcome to the party. Get your boots on. Let's go to work. I also tell him this, is that being quietly non-racist is not helpful.
Oh, okay. So there must be two schools of thought on anti-racism then. Because Dr. Kendi's, like I said before, Dr. Kendi's interpretation is that racism is effectively original sin. Everyone has it. It cannot be done away with. There is no such thing as a state of being not racist. You're either actively racist or you're knowingly and confessingly racist, but trying to point it out when you see it rather than just going along to get along. Okay. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what our speaker's personal thoughts are on this. I don't know if he's a fan of Dr. Kendi or not, but this definition flies in the face of the quote unquote official definition that I received from Dr. Kendi. So just a note for future reference.
Being anti-racist is often confrontational and uncomfortable.
And what? But I thought you did everything you possibly could to not be confrontational. You put on your costume. You sang show tunes in the parking garage. How do you fight this if you're not being confrontational?
Because this whole thing is binary. Either you're anti-racist or you're racist. There's no fence sitting. There's no fence sitting. It's one or the other.
Right. Okay. So you are part of that school of thinking, because I got confused there for a second. You're either with us or you're against us. You're either a racist or an anti-racist. If you're not on my team, then you obviously hate me for my skin color. That's your worldview. Got it.
So I could see him. He's like, okay, well, Dwayne, what do I do, brah?
Wait, are you imagining your white friend still? Because you imagine what white people are thinking and doing quite a bit, don't you?
What do I do, man? I want to help, brah. So first off, why are you coming to me at the end of my talk asking me this?
Dude, you are locked in a conflict fantasy. Wow. Okay. Let's back up a little bit there. Again, was he imagining his white friend again? Sorry, I'm going to back up a little bit.
Well, duh.
Okay, maybe not far enough. Whatever.
I'm not here to shame you, dog.
Yeah.
Welcome to the party.
Yeah.
Get your boots on. Let's go to work.
Uh-huh.
I also tell him this.
Yeah.
Is that being quietly non-racist is not helpful.
Yeah, he's still talking to his proverbial white friend from high school that he hasn't seen in years, but is apparently having conversations with in his head all the time. Okay.
Being anti-racist is often confrontational and uncomfortable.
Uh-huh.
Because this whole thing is binary. Either you're anti-racist or you're racist. There's no fence sitting.
Right.
There's no fence sitting.
Right.
It's one or the other.
Yes. So you're either with us or you're against us. You're either with me or you are my enemy.
So I could see him. He's like, okay, well, Dwayne, what do I do, brah? What do I do, man? I want to help, brah.
Bruh.
First off, why are you coming to me at the end of my talk asking me this? This is a time thing. I only have a few minutes left. There's a million things I could tell you, but I'll give you a few in the time I have left. Cool?
Is he talking to himself now? Because it sounds like he's talking to himself.
Cool. All right. First thing's this. I would suggest that you tell your white family members that behavior is not welcome in your home.
Because obviously that kind of behavior is inherent to every white household. That behavior being, I assume, racist. Got it.
I'd also tell you or suggest to you that you call out the people who are being racist on social media and say that their jokes aren't funny.
Oh, so like, well, what if those people are black people? What do I do then?
I'd also suggest that you stand up for your black colleagues who are subjected to racial microaggressions in the office.
Because they can't stand up for themselves? And who interprets what is and is not a microaggression? How could a white person possibly decide to speak for a black person on what is or is not a microaggression?
I would also suggest that you proudly state that Black Lives Matter is not a political statement.
No. It's just the name of a political movement. That's all. And the differential between those two things is sketchy at best.
It's a human rights statement.
And
most importantly, my most important suggestion, my dear friend, is this.
Yes.
I hope you raise your white kids to fight against racism at all costs, because I want them to grow up viewing anti-racism as the norm and not the exception.
You want them to believe that they are inherently racist and that anybody who does not agree with them is a racist. You want the white children to do this, because racism can only come from one direction.
Because somewhere in America, there's a black kid being called the N-word and may not think America and may take his own life because of it.
Oh, come on.
somewhere there are Black kids fearing for their dad's life.
Yeah, you know why they fear for their dad's life? Because their dad is scared every single day and lives in fear and expresses this fear every single day that white people are a threat to his life, and his kids are listening to this. And that is what they are learning about how the world works according to their paranoid, self-hating father.
Just like my kids did.
Yeah.
It's just too much, y'all.
Yeah.
They deserve better.
Yeah,
we all deserve better.
Yeah, they do.
But we have to work together to end this nightmare.
Do we? How?
Because one thing my friend said that still resonates: the way people feel about you has everything to do with your personality and not your skin color. We're not there yet, but if we ever get there, we would have truly succeeded in creating an anti-racist world. Thank you.
But we can't get there. You just told us. We can't get there. Racism is perpetual and forever. We'll never get there. Skin color is the most important thing to assess in another person. You just told us this. This is how you approach the world. This is how you assess every action you will or will not take every time you get out of bed in the morning. You are assuming motives and thoughts and feelings and intentions in people on the basis of skin color. This is how you move through the world. This is a choice that you are making, and it is also something you are passing on to your children as a belief system. I don't know how much clearer I can make it. You are perpetuating the very problem that you say you are a victim of. You're just perpetuating it against a different demographic than your own. That's it. That's it. Now, part of me is very frustrated with this person. Part of me is very sympathetic to this person because he is obviously doing himself harm. Mentally, psychically, emotionally, onward. He is doing himself a great deal of harm. I also fear for his children and what kind of lives they're going to have growing up under a household of fear and resentment and hatred. I don't know. Anyway, let's go back to the bingo card real quick. Let me pull up my copy here for everyone's edification. Let me save that and update that. Oops, what happened? Save that. Update. Why aren't you saving? Did I not open the wrong thing? Oh, I see what I did. Hold on a second. Sorry, guys. I had up the wrong, well, I had up the right card. I just didn't have up the card for this particular episode. I had the template up. So let's try. Oh, live TV, everybody. 1 second. Here we go. Get that. And there we go. Okay. Let's take a look. Does that line up on the window? Yes, it does. All right. So here we go. What do we have so far? Marginalization. He didn't say it specifically. One could infer, but let's move on to the other squares before we get into inferences. Feminism, no. Anecdote that probably never happened. I have a difficult time calling any of his anecdotes things that could not have happened. None of them were too perfect of situations. I could believe his daughter was scared that he'd get shot. I can believe that he has been the victim of racism of one form or another, called names, profiled, and so on. I can believe these things. I doubt him on those things. But a lot of the things he was talking about were sort of hypotheticals of him talking to his high school friend who he hasn't seen in years. So I'm not sure I can call those anecdotes because they're not really anecdotes as they are make-believe. If you have arguments to the contrary, hold on to them. Give me a second here. Diversity and inclusion. Nope, you never used the phrase or anything like it. Word salad. Word salad. Oh, boy. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to circle word salad because when he started describing how not everybody's racist, and then he talked about anti-racism and how everybody's racist or either racist or not racist. Yeah, no, it was all over the place. I'm going to circle that one. Hold on. Well, wait 1 sec. Decode. I was like him once in 2016, never again. My sympathies. I'm glad you got out of that pit. But thank you, Decode. Word salad will be circled. And with that, at least to start off with, can you believe it?
Ooh, that's a bingo.
Right?
Yeah!
Okay, we have a bingo. There may be more. Let's continue. Patriarchy, no. Wage gap, no. Systemic institutional. He never used the words. I'm struggling to think of an instance where he brought up something like school or work. I mean, he brought out workplace like microaggressions, but systemic institutional. He talked about society. Yeah, he did talk about society. I don't know. I'll leave that to you guys to debate in a second. Privilege. No, I never said the word. Never said white privilege, which is surprising. Self-vilification or wretchedness. That would be an easy one to circle because he talked about a previous suicide attempt. I'm not going to circle it on that basis. I know this seems weird. I don't feel comfortable given this guy's mentality and self-esteem issues of circling self-vilification or wretchedness as a point on a board. This makes me feel a little off. Maybe you disagree with me. By all means, argue otherwise. Equity. He kept saying equality. We want equality. We want equality. That's not what he was asking for. He wasn't asking for that. He didn't get specific, which means he wanted equality of outcome. So I'm circling equity on that one. Weightless example. Well, this is the problem. All the examples he brought up of things that actually happened to him, I could believe happened and did move towards his argument of paranoia. His other examples, I don't know. I mean, like I said, most of them were hypothetical or if I talk to my white friend or something. So if somebody has a pitch on a weightless example, something that had nothing to do with his talk or didn't even lean towards his argument, I'll take suggestions. Make something about race, sex, etc. for no reason. Again, I run into the problem of he made race very, very, very specific to his talk. Everything was about race, the race of white people, the race of black people. Every time he brought it up, it lent itself to his argument. Even if his argument is bad, he never brought it up for no reason. So, and lastly, white supremacy. Given his constant refrain of how he has to move through the world because white people might do something terrible to him, because he has to pretend to be a particular thing because white society is going to do X, Y, Z, PDQ, I'm circling white supremacy. And since I have just done that, well, you know what that means.
Ooh, that's a bingo.
Right?
Yeah!
All right, we have a double bingo. Now then, I will take arguments for what remains. Let's see. Dr. Cardinal, I think, is suggesting that the Blake case was a weightless example. I already used that for leaves out vital context. I'm not usually cool with using the same item for two different things, unless there's really good cause for it. So, Let's see. Mr. Dax, Scribelight. I think is racism an organ or a disease point is an indirect point to either systemic or white supremacy. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, he did say that, didn't he? Yeah, systemic. Yeah, nope, you're right. You're right. Yeah, the old organ thing. Is it an organ or a disease? Systemic. Yeah, okay. Good call. Good call. All right, so that's on there now. Let's see. Puddock, between his apologetics and the news about the Dems not giving us another stimulus check, I had visions of more peaceful protests being cheered on in 2021. Everyone prep for the great justification. Well, we've already seen that quite a bit. Some emulation doesn't say couldn't happen, says probably never happened, Scribelight. By preponderance of anecdotal evidence, doesn't his paranoia lend itself to exaggerated anecdotes? Okay, someone calling him the N-word when he was 9. That doesn't sound beyond the pale of possibility. Some individual store owner, clerk, whatever, turning his pockets out on the belief that he might have stolen something. I could believe that happened. His daughter saying that she was scared for her father's life. Given his own behavior, I could believe that happened. It has to be an anecdote that is too perfect and serves the argument so perfectly. Like in the case of his daughter, okay, well, the other two, you could probably say you could guess the motivations. Okay, but in the case of his daughter, he took her fear as validation of his perspective on the world, rather than her fear just being a reflection of his own paranoia that he is placing upon his children through his own behavior. So it wasn't an anecdote crafted to be perfect for his argument. It was an anecdote that I believe happened that he has decided to twist to serve his argument, not that it was made up. I think that's where we're differing. Does that make sense? That's how I'm looking at it. Advocas Diaboli, his put on your boots and help us inclusion. No, that's not usually what diversity and inclusion is meant to do. Inclusion is where you're supposed to bring in people who are left out, marginalized. Trying to gain allies doesn't really usually fall into that sentiment. Yeah, that's a stretch, bit of a stretch. Some emulation. His beginning and end anecdote about his friends saying that racism didn't exist is what I was thinking of, Scribelight. You see, again, I could believe that his friend said that. I can believe that a Massachusetts white kid who doesn't think about those things and doesn't see it or something, I could believe that he said that. It doesn't, like I say, it doesn't necessarily serve his argument because and he didn't really dwell on people believing racism didn't exist. I don't know. I don't know about that one. Zan Wild, anecdote that never happened. White lady smoking at the park or white lady grabbing her kid like a vice grip. You see, both of those are, again, examples of his own fears being projected onto other people. He imagined that some lady doing something with her kid was a response to him. He imagined that this lady smoking at the park would call the cops on him if he asked her not to smoke at the park. He has used those examples to prove his point. But again, they are examples that are a matter of interpretation that he is putting the worst possible spin on, which is more reflective of his own mindset than it is the reality he's trying to prove to us. So they don't sound like anecdotes crafted to serve his purpose. They sound like benign or misinterpreted things that occurred that he's decided to make part of his repertoire. Keyrenam Scribble, is the GameStop incident a weightless example? Check Your Logic thinks it might be. Well, he characterized it as the store owner profiled him because he was a black kid. So now, again, I don't know what that store owner did. He specifically said he was profiled. He didn't give much more information on that, so I can't tell. But again, I'm willing to extend the benefit of the doubt at some point in his life at this one store, since he only brought it up one time. I'm assuming it only happened one time, which doesn't really lend itself well to his argument. One time, somebody stopped him on suspicion of stealing something. I can believe that happened. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too giving here. I don't know. But at this point, it's sort of like you really have to give me a really good argument. And knowing what we know now about our speaker's mindset, it really puts a different spin on a lot of the things he was saying. Not so much anecdotes that he was using to justify his argument, but incidents in his life that he has twisted into being the worst possible interpretations of reality to justify his fear. Faithless. He also never claimed he was innocent in that event. I don't know. I can't make that call, and even if I could, it wouldn't necessarily fall upon one of the squares. Zixi Adawari. I miss the 90s. None of my friends and I were obsessed with racism, and we're all different races, but it wasn't such an obsession back then. Yeah. Some emulation. If an anecdote is exaggerated by his paranoia and didn't actually happen that way, in reality, isn't that the definition of the square? Well, again, mother clutching her kid. Did the mother clutch the kid or didn't she? And his interpretation of it is his interpretation. What somebody thought, him reading their minds and something. You have to take him at his word that what happened. But someone smoking at a park, that doesn't sound beyond the realm of possibility. That he ran away from it rather than call the cops or risk have the cops called on him. It just doesn't sound like an anecdote that was crafted. It sounds like something that he decided was a racist situation or a situation where he had to be fearful. And that was an interpretive decision on his part. Like I say, I've said this before, the baseline anecdote that probably never happened is my 5-year-old walked in the other day and asked me, Daddy, why is Donald Trump such a liar about the 2020 election? And isn't it wonderful that we have a female vice president now? It has to be something that sounds too good to be true as an example towards their argument. And like I say, nothing he said sounded too good to be true. I don't know. Let's see. Taking the world as a delusional paranoid. Taking the word of a delusional paranoid. I have only what I'm presented with, guys. I have only what I'm presented with. Let's see. And some ammunition. I guess giving the speaker the benefit of the doubt is my hang up, but I see your point conceded. Yeah, like I say, we've already got 2 bingos, so I'm not trying to be stingy on bingos here. And getting anecdote that never happened isn't going to give us another bingo anyway. I'm not really fighting over it for that sake. But, this is setting sort of a bingo TEDx precedent every time we do this. Like, what is the threshold for circling a square on something? And also, I also appreciate the fact that we're really thinking about what he said and how he said it and how his argumentation played out. Because that's part of the point, too, to sort of, really dissect what is being said to us. So if you would like to circle anecdote that never happened on your home card, by all means, go ahead and do so. I don't have a problem with that. I'm not going to fault anybody for doing so. I just don't find it fits in this instance, and that's just me. Regardless, guys, I'm going to call it here. We have hit a double bingo. That hasn't happened in a while, so I suppose that's something to celebrate, even though I have very serious concerns about our speaker's mental health and overall actions towards others or beliefs about others and onwards, but I guess that's something to ponder for another time. Everyone, thank you so much for joining me for this one. It was a bit of a slog. Thank you so much for your attendance. Thank you so much for your participation and your argumentation. I really do appreciate it. Even if I don't agree with you or you don't agree with me, thank you so much for doing so and taking part. Everyone who donated, thank you so much for your generosity. I really do appreciate it. If you'd like to hear more from me or Satsu 2 Cents or the Ranting Monkey, you can find all 3 of us tonight on Satsu 2 Cents' channel at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern for The Lords of the Night, where we will talk about the news of the day, news stories you submit, what we've been up to on the internet, and then your questions and comments. Everyone, again, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you are all safe and well. If you're not well, please get well soon, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.